Right, this video is going to be about tonic chords for 1 and 5. Okay, so in any key, a 1 chord is built off of the 1st, 3rd, and 5th scale degrees, but depending on whether you're in major or minor, tells you which solfege and what quality. So we're going to practice in both major and minor, but the tonic chord in major is going to be do, mi, and so. In minor keys, it'll be minor triad, so it'll be do, me, and so. Okay. 5 chords are going to be major, so we're going to use so, ti, and re. Okay, that means that if you're in their key, you might recall minor. If you're just doing a natural minor key, has te in it. So we're going to use harmonic, and we are going to have to remember to raise the 7th scale degree, so it will be ti. Okay, so if we're in a minor key, the 5 chord will always need an accidental. Okay. So we're going to practice part writing with 1 and 5 chords. So a 1 chord go into a 5 chord, and also lead into many other different kinds of chords. But the 5 chord most often goes back to the 1 chord, and that is because it has a tendency tone, ti, and ti wants to resolve to do. Okay. So the first couple of times we're going to do a 1 chord going to a 5, and then we'll practice resolving from 5 to 1 so that you can see what special things you'll need to remember when we resolve a 5. Okay, so this first one we're going to go from a 1 to a 5, and since we're going to do it in D major, that means that our tonic triad is going to be major, so I need an uppercase. Okay. All right, so it's the best idea always to do your bass voice first. Okay, so we are going to do, let's do this G. Okay, so in G major, our 1 chord is of course built on E, and then the other notes will be B and D. Our 5 chord is going to be built on D, so D, F sharp, and A. Okay, like so. Okay, next voice to do is going to be the soprano. Okay, it's always the best idea to do soprano and bass first, so that you can check your counterpoint between those 2 voices. So position triads, we're going to double up the roots. I don't have to double it in the soprano part, so I'm going to do the 3rd, so mi. So B will be the voice I choose. Okay. All right, the 5 chord has D, F sharp, and A in it. So B is close to A. Okay. You could leap up to a D, but I'm going to go as close as possible, so A. All right. All right, so we've got stepwise motion. It looks good. Okay, let's do the tenor part next. Then I'm going to put it, because the only note I'm missing right now is D, right? I need my 5th. Technically, you don't have to have a 5th, but we'll. Okay. Now, in the next chord, it's D, F sharp, and A. The tenor just had E. Let's on the D. Okay. Tenor voices especially are usually pretty static. Okay, they don't like to move around a whole lot. So if you have a tone, keep it, especially in an inner voice. Okay, the more kind of bored your voices are, the more likely it is that you're doing it correctly. Okay, that you don't have writing errors. Okay, let's go back and put in an alto voice now. Okay, so I already have a complete chord for my 1. I have G, and I have B up in the soprano, and then I have D in the tenor. So I'm going to double the G in the alto part. Okay, and then you want to make sure too that you don't have any spacing errors, so you don't have more than an octave between like upper parts. I'm good. All right, and then the note that I'm missing for the 5 chord is I have D's and I have an A. I need an F sharp, which is the most important part because that's the leading tone. Okay, that's what makes that 5 chord special. All right. Okay, now let's do 1 and 5, but now in the minor key. Okay, so this time, since we're doing it in minor, I'm lowercase and then still uppercase 5. Okay, so our 1 chord, our tonic, is going to be minor, and our 5 chord is going to be major. Okay. Oops, sorry. I'm just trying to change that into a half note. Didn't work out. Okay, there we go. All right, and since I'm in the key of D, my tonic is going to be built off of. Okay, so I'm going to choose the D right in the middle. Okay. All right, the 5 chord in D, if you think up to the 5th scale degree or so, is built on A. I could go down to A or up to A. I'll go up to A since last time I went down. So let's do the opposite this time. Okay, and let's do the soprano voice next. Okay, I'm going to actually want to start out spread out because I can see, since I chose going up in the soprano part, I think it's probably going to be best to start out kind of high in the soprano. Okay, so I'm going to choose that D. So I'm going to double my roots. Okay, so my inner voices are going to have to take care of the other notes. Okay, all right, then over here, our 5 chord in D is built on A, and we need it to be major. So it's not just going to be A, C, and E. It's going to be A, C sharp, and E. Okay. All right. So I can choose. I could go up to the E, or I could go down to the C sharp. Either one. I'm going to choose down to C sharp, so that you can see immediately that we need an accidental for this chord. Okay, now true of minor keys always. You always have to remember an accidental for the 5 chord. Okay, so we have T. So you always have to raise the leading tone, which means sharping or naturally a note. Sometimes you have to double sharp a note. Okay, but you won't ever flat something for the 5 chord. Okay, you won't ever lower the 3rd of the chord. All right, let's go back and let's do the alto part next. Okay, so I already have D's right here. So I need an F and an A. I'm going to choose F. And then this next chord, I have A and I have C sharp. The note I'm missing is E. The only other note I need is an A, but that's not as close, so I'm going to choose E. Okay. Plus now I've got some nice contrary motion going with the bass part. That's always nice. Okay. Now my first chord, the note I'm missing is an A. Okay, and then over here I have A, C sharp, and E. Okay, oops. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, now I can other things other than just the root, okay? But in a 5 chord, you have to be very careful because you don't ever want to double the leading tone. And you'll see why when we go to the next couple of measures over and we start resolving the 5 chord. Right now, we've just been getting into the 5 chord. But the 5 chord has that special leading tone, which is a tendency tone. It wants to resolve somewhere. You don't ever double tendency tones, okay? All right, so instead we could double the E, but that's pretty far away from the A. And if you see too, if I did that, look, parallel fifths between the bass and tenor. So we definitely don't want to do that. So we should double the A instead. Okay, oh, move my notes. Okay, just like so. Okay. All right, here's what these 2 measures sound like. So here's the first measure in major. Okay, you might be thinking, oh, that's not the end, right? Yes, that 5 chord wants to resolve. Okay, here's the second measure, so it's in the minor key. All right. Okay, now we're going to go opposite. So we're going to go from a 5 chord to a 1 chord. And now you'll actually get to hear them get resolved, which might be much happier for you. Okay. So now opposite, we're going to go 5 to 1, and we're in major for this 3rd measure that we're in, E flat major. So my chords are uppercase because they will both be major. Okay, in E flat major, E flat is going to be the tonic, and then our dominant chord, is going to be built off of B flat. Okay, I'm going to do this B flat down here. And I'm going to go to that E flat. Okay. All right, same deal. Let's do the soprano line next. Okay, let's see. I'm going to do D up there. Okay, I'm going to show you why. Okay, so if you think about what solfege we have, B flat in the bass is so. The D that I put in the soprano is T. Okay, and you've learned from singing exercises that T wants to resolve to Do. Okay, so we have no choice in the soprano. We will have to go up to an E flat. Okay, or else it's going to sound a little weird. All right, so we've got T going to Do in that upper voice. Okay, all right, let's do the tenor part next. So I already have a B flat, I have a D. I'm missing the F. I think looking ahead, I want to do the F in the alto part, not in the tenor, because I put that soprano up pretty high, so I don't want my tenor to start out too low. So I'm going to double the B flat in the tenor part. Okay. Now my tonic chord next, I've already got Do's doubled up. I'm missing Mi, which is G, which is somewhat close to the tenor part, and I'm also missing B flat, which is already in the tenor, so let's keep it there. Okay. All right, then the note that I'm missing is F for the 5 chord at the start for the alto, so let's put it F right there. Okay, and then I'm missing G for the 1 chord. Okay, and remember, for chords, when you're doing part writing like this, you can leave out a note, but you can only leave out the 5th, okay? Don't ever leave out the root, or else it won't be that Roman numeral chord, right? It won't be that chord's function anymore. You can't leave out the 3rd either, because that's the note that determines whether it's major or minor sounding. Okay, it's the color note. So the only note that I could have left out of that 1 chord at the end would have been the B flat, but I didn't need to leave it out. It was already in the tenor. Okay, here's what that measure sounds like. So, okay. All right, so hopefully you could hear T resolving to Do in that upper voice. Okay. Now that kind of resolution that we did in this 3rd measure is called a strict resolution. Okay, that means, I'll put it in the lyrics for right here. So, okay, and that was in the soprano part. Okay, a strict resolution means that we take T to Do. Okay. You have to always do that kind of resolution if you have an outer voice. So if you have T in the soprano part or the bass part, it needs to go to Do. Okay. If we put T in an inner voice, we can do what's called a free resolution. So let's do that in this next one. Okay. So we're still going to do a 5 chord going to a 1 chord, but this time we're going to have a minor 1 chord, right? Because we'll be in the minor key. Okay. Okay, and we're in B minor, so B minor, oh, it gave me a weird diminished symbol on that tonic. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, let's go back and actually do it now. Okay, so our tonic chord will be on B. Okay. All right, our 5 chord will be built off of F sharp. Okay, that is so in our key. All right. The leading tone is A sharp, okay? Because if we have a 5 chord, F sharp is so. If you skip up, instead of A, we need to make it a major chord, right? So we're going to have A sharp, and then we will need C sharp as well, okay? All right, let's do the A sharp in the alto part. Okay, so we're going to do kind of backwards just so that you can see a free resolution. So I know I'm not doing my normal soprano first thing. Okay. Okay, so we're going to put F sharp right there. Then I'm going to fill in the voices over here. Okay. Oh no, I don't want that part. This tenor part will be really high, but it's okay. There's a reason. Okay. So far I just have my 5 chord, okay? Now the alto part, whoopsie, sorry, is on the A sharp, it's on T, okay? Now, I can do a free resolution if this happens. If my upper voice takes do for me, and I have a leading tone and an inner voice, then I can jump down to so instead. So instead of this T in the alto part having to go up to the B, I can jump down to so right here instead. Okay, that can only happen if your leading tone is in an inner voice and if the voice above it takes do for you. Okay, so your upper voice has to be a good neighbor and take do for you, or else you can't do it. Okay. All right, and it looks like I'm missing the third for my one chord. I've got B's so far. I need a D, so let's do that in the tenor part. Okay, and here's what it sounds like. I do see some parallel motions that you'd want to check, or like some similar motion. So I can see the bass and tenor are both going the same way, but the bass and tenor right here on the 5 chord are an octave, and then after that it's a 10th or 3rd, okay, if you don't want to think the compound interval. So we're good there. We don't have parallel fifths or octaves. Let's see. There's some parallel motion between the bass and the alto, but it's in thirds. Oh no, it's not even parallel. It's just F to A sharp is a 3rd, B to F is a 5th. We're good. Okay. All right. Okay, so things to remember. The 5 chord is special. In minor keys, it needs an accidental. It's also special because it has T in it, okay? And T wants to go back to do, okay? So you will have to pay attention and make sure you're doing strict resolutions of leading tones if they're in outer voices, okay? If you do a free resolution, which is what we did in the last measure, you can only do that if your leading tone is in an inner voice and if the upper voice takes do for you. All right. The cadences that are involved with 1 and 5 chords will be in a different video. So you can click on that for more information about cadences with 1 and 5, but that will do it for right now for tonic and dominant chords.